when I put my name forward to do the Quest as producer, I felt confident. But what happened was, by the time we got to Mirror to the Sky, I think the collective feeling in the band was that everybody was happy with this arrangement, and we came off the Quest with 20 minutes of extra music, two songs. So we were able to start from a solid perspective of the work I'd provided for the Quest. I mean, it's a variety of things. It's quite hard to say what it is, but what it mostly is, keeping an overall picture going when other people are thinking about details. You've got to be looking at the overall, but at the same time, finding that how you can inspire others to move forward with their ideas with a little bit of an injection or with a little bit of development, in post-production terms. It certainly was an enormous advantage that we worked together so well on the Quest that we could now take another album on and keep that same secret sort of idea going, which was quite fun with the Quest, that this was all kind of top secret. So we carried on constructing and having a certain style of session going on where I would be compiling and looking at the music that we brought from the Quest, which became Luminosity and the title track, Mirror to the Sky. So we had the basic framework of those two titles already. So my first job really was to look at those again and say, okay, well, if we're really moving forward to these two songs, let's find out what we're going to do. There was a lot of development required, and each time we'd elevate the music to the next stage, we'd be happy. But then, we'd create another bar, another song would come up shining, and we think, well, hang on, these have got to get more work. So really, it's just been a sort of process, one that I like very much, of developing music without a stopwatch on, without a deadline, and with the freedom to work in our own environments, and then, work out the collaborations when we've actually got material to work with. Of course, Curtis Schwartz has been part of the project initially when I, presented my idea to produce the band. I said, look, I've been working with Curtis for about 25 years, and we're still getting on, and we still seem to have a nice rapport. So maybe Yes could, benefit from that relationship. So certainly on the Quest, we steamed through and we got that going, and it's you could say, well, that's history now. But it did establish that the method that I'd thought about would work, seemed to work, that there was a nice opening for his venue, his studio, as a headquarters for the whole recording, where everything funneled in, through the different pipelines to Curtis. So basically, we encouraged the opportunities to have Jeff come down and do the keyboards, and John come over and do some vocals. And then amazingly, of course, Billy was in the UK, and on Mirror to the Sky, he was also able to come in and spend a little time. Most of his work was done over at his place in California. So Curtis is ambitious musically and artistically, and he's been a wonderful support role. Obviously, a producer needs an engineer that understands, really almost hears the same thing that I hear. And very often he'll hear something and he'll go to move a fader or, tweak something. And I go, yeah, exactly. That and so we have been able to align our thinking musically. He's mixed remarkable amount of my solo albums from Homebrew 1 onwards, which was 1995. So he knows what I like in guitars, and also, but we change our minds. We're not static. So when the mixing came to Mirror to the Sky, we had a furthering, an increasement of expectations, because the Quest was mixed in 5.1 and stereo, and also mastered for vinyl. But this time, of course, we had Dolby Atmos to consider, and also 96K, high-res mixes as well. So we had 5.1 stereo. So it was a field day, but all of them are fundamentally shaped around the what we think of as the CD stereo mix. Everything comes from that. And so the process of moving into Dolby Atmos, the first time for Yes, the first time for me and Curtis. So we were excited to do that. He set his studio up for it, got the extra speakers, and he designed it like that so that we could do it. And it was really a step on from how excited we were when we did 5.1 on the Quest, because we were so excited. John Davison and I did a lot of that with Curtis together, that we took the stereo mix and developed it with John to see what he felt about the ideas. Fortunately, he was in the UK when we were doing the 5.1 on the Quest. So this time, unfortunately, John was away, so we didn't have the luxury. But so Curtis and I got the stereo and the vinyl already, and then we moved into the other zones. And Dolby Atmos was a learning curve, a big learning curve, and it's fairly complicated. But I think very soon it'll be much clearer and much easier to do it. And I think some of the mystery will be taken away from it. And the compatibility, like we did when stereo was new back in the late 60s, we had to make sure that stereo was always compatible with mono. Well, the same thing happened here. We had to make sure that Dolby Atmos was seriously compatible if switched to stereo. So all that, that's the technical stuff. But I think really the key to a good mix is beyond technicalities. It is about streamlining the textural changes in the song, so things don't happen and you wonder why. But you have to get all the sections to kind of move between each other comfortably. But also the development, if you like, of this, the sonority of the overall sound is always going to be important, and that's based on you getting the instruments to sort of sit and sing and work together as well as they possibly can. And that's a process we both enjoy a lot. So we sort of go the extra mile, if you like, on always thinking we thought we were finished, but you know what, we're not. And that's a thing I started to apply to my own solo producing. Is I'd often think, oh, that's great, yeah, I mean, this is home and dry. But if I gave it a little bit of a break and had a few weeks away, or maybe even a month or so, I would then find that, hang on, I'm glad I didn't say it was over. So meeting the goals. If you're going to spend some months and time on a record, then you want to meet the goals. So the relationship that I've had with Curtis over these years has been very consistent and warm and friendly. He's got a great workstation, if you like, great studio and accommodation. And we were in an airy, sort of slightly countrified part of Sussex, not too far from Brighton or not too close to Gatwick. So he's been a real team player. And I think that is the word, team, because, people can take credit for things that they're only part of the team. And when you become part of the team, you cease to take individual credit for everything you do, because everybody pulls that together and has their own particular expertise. And, I'd like to come on to that more later with the band members and how they all bring something very special, very unique. But it has to have a good workplace. It has to have a good centralized location, and that's what Curtis has been able to provide, as well as his long days.